What a world did you draw on the map? What chopping and screwing it into BT11 because we've got a sweet vaccine deck coming at you featuring Marsmon and Phoenixmon, the dynamic duo ready to cook you a delicious meal when you're serving those W's to the opposition. So if this is their profile for you and you're ready for those free chilies, then make sure you grab yourself a glass of milk because you're going to get hot up in here. And if you're new to the channel, then make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell because I do videos on the reg. So let's just dive straight into the ratios and all that good stuff. Going on with the actual eggs is going to be your Yokomon BT11. This is just fantastic because on deletion, if you have a red tamer in play, draw one, which is going to be the source because Phoenixmon is able to trigger on deletion effects if you have that out on field. So it's going to be really good just to get that draw, which can come crucial. In this deck, you don't really want to be essentially bottom decking everything, and this is how I've tailored this deck. So it assures you that you will not be doing any of that. So we do run that for no less, and that is it for the eggs, short and sweet. So going over to the rookies, we do run 13. Let's go over them. So Biomon BT11. Looking pretty hot right here because it's going to be your primary searcher, which is going to be able to reveal you top 3, and then you're able to get a card with vaccine in its traits and a red tamer being the crucial thing here, because you can grab all the tamers in your entire deck because we don't run anything other than red tamers, which is glorious. Really strong searcher, kind of acts like Flamemon from BT3. Ooh, correct me if I'm wrong. But that is able to obviously just grab 2 cards, which is going to be awesome for you. This whole deck is all about that vaccine, and that's how we've tailored it. Obviously, an inheritable on deletion, if you have a red tamer in play, gain 1 memory. Perfect. Absolutely great. Really good for when you're going for those Phoenixmon plays. So we do want to run that at 4. Going into Bearmon, this is going to be good for when you're going to use your Marsmon, because inheritable once per turn, when this Digimon attack targets is switched, this Digimon gains 3000 DP. That is massive. Making sure your Marsmon be like, are you okay, Kay? Going in like Terry Bogard. And in playing around, taking teeth and taking names. So you do run that at 4. Then the spicy tech, we're blowing off a classic card here, and that is going to be your promo Biomon. Yes, guys. This is the secret sauce, which I've not really seen the deck list use, but I think it has real good potential when you are using Marsmon. The reason why, your turn, not once per turn, when this Digimon deletes one of your opponent's Digimon in battle and survives, trigger draw 1. Marsmon has the effect that he can unsuspend if he's able to switch a target and knock them out, which enables you to essentially, possibly, depending on the opponent's board state, draw 2 cards. 9 times out of 10, you could be drawing an additional card and then going in and swinging at face. But regardless, drawing a card can really extend those combos quite nicely, and we've got ways to essentially claw back turn and execute more plays, which is going to be beneficial for you next turn. So we do run that at 3. I feel that's a really good card to not pass up on or sleep on. Then Solomon out on deck. Obviously, this deck is all about those tamer plays, and the good thing about Solomon, it's searchable because it is a vaccine type. So all turns players can't reduce costs, which is just great. Defex is probably going to still be relevant, and because this is a tamer deck, you do want to be playing out your Solomons. The reason why I run it at 2 is because it's actually searchable, which is quite powerful. So anything that's searchable, you can afford to drop it a little bit because you have the selection to actually get it in hand. Because we've not got cards that are going to be bottom decking anything, it's all about that draw and searching. It's going to be good. So 2, I feel like is just a really good amount, unless they're both in security, like what happened at my previous locals, which was a bit strange. Should really work on my shuffling. But then let's go into my champions. Champions, we're going on with 10. Starting off with the Digimon BT2 Classic. The reason why this is kind of sick is because when attacking, when this Digimon attacks a player, it gains 4000 DP, meaning that you're going to be swinging for 7 foul. One thing that's really good is, of a Phoenixmon's effect, is able to summon out Digimon depending on obviously their play costs and how many tamers you have out, which is really, really strong. And then suspending that tamer and gaining rush, meaning that you can swing for that sweet face. And that's what we like to see. So this is the reason why I run that at 2 as a nice little spicy tech. We do run Grizzlymon at 4 because it's essentially going to be your Marsmon kind of top end, well, inheritable, which is going to enable you to essentially gain an additional 3000 DP. That in combination with the Bearmon, oh man, 6000, you're swinging pretty much at everything quite comfortably. But the good thing about Grizzlymon here is that it also has raid, which is quite nice. So if you do have your Bearmon underneath, it means that you're going to be swinging for juicy 8k at someone, which is good for kind of board removal, which is sick. You've got good board removal, you're swinging, you're triggering effects, it's all good stuff. So we do want to be running that at 4. Lastly, we are going to be running the Digimon BT11. This is really strong because it gets in that kind of blocker protection, which is nice. Unfortunately, it is at that 5k DP range, so it can be pretty much knocked out. I mean, what Jessmon just comes in with the Battle Hook one inevitable, blame, that's pretty much super done. But it's not all bad, because you just have obviously the on deletion, which you may play 1 red tamer card with you may be able, God, why do I struggle with this? Basically, on deletion, you can play 1 red tamer card with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the memory cost. So it is pretty sick in terms of it's inheritable. Unfortunately, you don't really get that payoff when you are using Digimon, but Digimon is a stable blocker, stops those early chip games. I mean, Commandromon is infamous for the early swings, but having Digimon on shift is going to prevent that from happening. So really good stuff right there. We do run that at 4. Now, some spicy tech that I've not seen many lists run, but God, this has so much potential and makes Marsmon the cost of 2 in theory. The reason why, Ultimate Metal Greymon BT7, he finally has a freaking place right now. The reason why I really value this Digimon is because its on play is actually quite nice. If you have a tamer, red tamer, well, a tamer, doesn't even matter what color it is, you gain 2 memory, meaning that effectively this card is going to be costing me 5. If I don't have one, you're able to play 1 red tamer card from your hand without paying its memory cost. So we all have those first turns when we're in Brick City. It happens, and sometimes you're like thinking, God, if I just hard slam at level 5, they have to answer it. Otherwise, you're climbing up to your level 6 and you start clapping those cheeks. So doing this for 7, playing a tamer out, which obviously the memory tamer for this is going to be able for us to reveal top 4 and start searching. We've got an ultimate out on field. We've searched some core pieces. Man, what if we top deck a Marsmon? Boom. The opponent has to answer that. And that is the scary thing. If they don't have an answer, then you go into Marsmon and you're going to be doing some massive stuff here. Or going to Phoenixmon and start summoning out stuff with Rush Out. Very powerful card here. Do not sleep on it. But it gets better. Inheritable. Once per turn. When one of your opponent's Digimon is deleted, gain a memory. So let's just really think about this. Marsmon going for Glass Jaws, goes into the opponent, he deletes it, gains a memory, unsuspends, gains another memory. Effectively, his Evo cost has cost him 2, and when he Evos, he gains Blitz. So depending on what memory you've left yourself on, so if you've left yourself on 2, you've gone in, you've clawed back your memory back to a point where it's still your turn. And depending on what your inheritables are, so say if you have Biomon, you've managed to draw a few more cards as well, which could just really extend your plays. The fact that this card is an Evo cost of 3 is really nice. I do think this card's got a place in this deck, especially for what it's trying to achieve. Drop it in the comments and tell me what you think. So we do run that at 3, and then we go in with the Metal Greymon X. It's still a vaccine type. They both are still vaccine type. So once again, still searchable. The reason why I've put Metal Greymon X into the mix is more because of when Digimon gain that additional security attack. Boom. And that's just standard. That is just standard. Meaning that Marsmon can go in and knock someone out and then swing in for another 2 checks, which is fine if we don't happen to go into our Great Bleomon. But if we happen to Evo to Metal Greymon, then on top of this execute that nice X antibody play, as we know War Greymon X plays this a lot, then we're able to gain 3000 DP to the end of your opponent's next turn, which is actually pretty strong for Marsmon, meaning that he's at 15k if he's rested or he's stood up. Meaning that, once again, he can't really be swung over quite instantly. Because, once again, if Marsmon is still left out on the field, you kind of want to get rid of it. Because if you don't, your Digimon's going to get clapped. Because you're going to go in and bust your jaw. And so, this is actually quite nice for this deck. I mean, it's just, once again, searchable and really can execute those plays. So, if you don't have Metal Greymon, you get additional security attack. That's absolutely fine. You can go heavy with your Phoenixmon if you have enough memory. It's all happy days. Really gives you a lot of options and not just solely rely on one plan of attack. Also, as well, you could just swing in for some early checks with your Metal Greymon X. It's, you know, you got a lot of plays here that you could do. So run that at 2. Obviously, depending on the ratios and how you feel, you can flick them about. But then we do go into our Great Bleomon from BT11. So let's see what this boy is packing. So he's got Raid, obviously the common theme, meaning that this boy, if you've got your Grizzlymon and your Bearmon underneath, he's swinging for big damage. He's swinging for big damage at your opponent's Digimon. So once again, great board removal right there. Then the Inheritable's kind of sexy. So your turn, once per turn, when this Digimon attacks a target is switched, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Really, really strong right here. I think in combination with like your Metal Grey, your Metal Grey X, and your Great Bleomon, you're all kind of doing the similar thing. We're all effectively trashing cards from the stack. Just Great Bleomon's a little bit more safer. And your Metal Grey and your Metal Greymon X is probably a bit more aggressive, but at least Metal Greymon kind of gives you that sweet protection whilst gaining some of that memory back to extend your plays. So you've got options. This is what I really want to make with this deck, is just having that option, not making it so linear, but making the opponent sweat a little bit if you can't find your top end. So that concludes it for the ultimates. We are running your classic 8. So let's go over to the Megas. Megas is where it's at, and we're going to start with the Phoenixmon. We're going with the alternate art because it looks sexy as boop, and Phoenixmon comes with a lot of tech right here. This is one of your win conditions that can somewhat swarm the board and give a lot of your vaccine types rush, which is just crazy. So once per turn, so your turn once per turn, so it's not even when in Digivolve in effect. When a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, you may activate one of your Digimon's on deletion effects. So this is where the powerful thing comes in. You have such a selection of deletion effects, and that's obviously in your Inheritables, that you can actually just proc off with, which is just great. On top of that, on deletion, you may play one red Digimon with Avian, Beast, Bird, or Animal, or Sovereign, in one of its traits, and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying the cost. For each red Tamer you have, add an additional 2k to the maximum DP of the card that you can play by this effect. So pretty massive right here. Phoenixmon is a force to be reckoned with, because say if you have to somewhat crash into something, then you can effectively crash, proc this. Depending on how many Tamers you got going out, you could just re-summon it out if you've got so many red Tamers out on field, or play something kind of safe and evo up. It's completely up to you, but regardless, very strong card right here. 11k, really good. Can't knock it. Can't knock it right there. Obviously, with the combination of our Metal Greymon and Metal Greymon X, you know, giving an additional 3k DP, making sure that it's swinging for 4k. at 14k, 2 checks, increases the chances of it dying. Which is a bit like, oh god, we don't want it to die, but in essence we kind of do at the same time, because we can trigger all the undeletion effects, we can get all this effects going off, which is pretty hot. So really good card. Do love the alternate art. We do run that at 3, but the main boy cracking knuckles up in this bitch because it's going to be our Marsmon alternate art, and I ain't gonna lie, this looks fire, no pun intended. But the thing that's really cool with Marsmon is, one, it's got raid, which is going to be good. It's going to be a top end kind of like, I'm going to knock your ass out kind of mon here, because if you don't get rid of it, it really forces you in a predicament where if you just got to get punched down every time, and it can then swing again. So really powerful card here. Then when digivolving, it gains blitz, so the 4 costs is not even an issue. You're just blitzing over. Ideally the range that you want to execute the evo is 2 in this particular build. The reason why we're going to go on to it is your turn, once per turn, when one of your digimon attack is target is switched, unsuspend this digimon and gain 1 memory for each tamer you have in play. Huge. This boy is getting that memory. Absolutely massive. And on top of, obviously, then utilizing Metal Greymon underneath, we're going to be grabbing more memory. You're going to be able to do so many plays, bring up another freaking body, depending on how many tamers you do have out. This is a force to be reckoned with, guys. Marsmon, I love it. I think what it can do is going to be really solid. Obviously, it's just a matter of getting there and just securing that memory back. Sometimes it's not easy to get your tamers out rapidly and so forth, but I feel like we've got good ways to kind of execute at least a few tamers coming out. I mean, procking some out in security, winning is always the one, but we've got good ways to either do some heavy damage with our Evo lines, our Metal Grey X, and all that good stuff. And then we've obviously got our Great Leomon, who's then going to be just trashing a security, a card from this opponent's security, which is going to be good. Really good card. I really do like this. So we do run that at 4, as that's going to be our main boss monster that we want to go into. So going on to the tamers, obviously going to have our boy Hero, put a cape on it. So this guy is just infamous for just being great. Memory setter is what we need. And then we're able to grant it 2000 DP if we're at level 5 or higher, which is just great. Obviously we don't run Gammamon, so that's irrelevant. But really solid card that we want to be having out. Obviously playing that for free is just the absolute nuts. But the main one's going to be our Akido. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I don't think I did, but I'm not going to try again. So this is a really beautiful card. All art, chef's kiss, and it's actually done by one of my favorite artists, which is absolutely knocking it out of the park. I'm glad this guy, he does like the system on all arts. He's done a lot of work. This boy has been put on overtime. I think Bandai realized he's the guy, or woman, depending who it is, is really knocking out the park with the alts. But the good thing about here is the on-play. On-play reveal 4 cards from your deck. Add 1 red Digimon with vaccine in its traits among them. Put the rest of the bottom of your deck. Really strong 3-cost searcher right here. This is so solid. All of our Digimon are vaccine, so we can't miss anything unless we miss a tamer. Only this card can essentially bottom deck itself at this point. And obviously, not even Beomon. Beomon can still actually get this card out. So it's literally just this card that can bottom deck itself. Unless it's got vaccine trait, which it has not, unfortunately. But your turn. When you play a red Digimon with avian, bird, beast, or animal or sovereign in its traits, by effect, by suspending this tamer, that Digimon gains rush for the turn. Really huge stuff right here. Really strong. And then obviously, prop from security, triggers effects as standard. So you want to be getting this girl out for real. She just really adds that aggression out of nowhere. Just essentially, you could play a level 3 out, climb up. If depending on what memory you got, go for a swing. It's actually pretty scary what you could do with this, especially if you go in with your Phoenixmon being the main play here. So you do want to be running that at 4 for sure. Then lastly, just a nice little bit of attack. We do run the Tai, Khmer, and Kari. This is just really strong right here because obviously you can gain that memory if you have 3 or fewer, and if the opponent's at the same amount, then effectively you're getting 2 memory. Obviously combining that with Hero, gaining a lot of memory right there. 5 is a lot for this, especially if you're using Marsmon. Gaining memory depending on how many Tamers you use. Blam, you got a lot of plays coming your way right there, and just can really set up a lot of board. Then your turn, you're able to, if you're attacking with a yellow or red Digimon, you're able to spend it and decrease the DP of security Digimon by 2k. Massive. That absolutely makes it a lot safer for Marsmon to be swinging in. And then we also have that control if effectively we're wanting our Phoenixmon to die. We can either, not suspend it and not decrease their DP, or if you want it to survive, suspend it and it's swinging a little bit more safer. So we do run that at 1. Then over to the options. So options, we do run the Crimson Flare. I think this is a really good card. Not so good to be running at more than 1 in my personal opinion, but regardless, it's still pretty strong at a 5 cost. The reason why is main, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 8k DP or less. If you have a red Tamer out in play, activate one of the on deletion effects of one of your red Digimon with vaccinating traits. So really just absolutely a solid card here. Depending on what your board state's looking like, you can really just do some cheeky plays here, get an additional draw if you want to play a Tamer out for 4, which effectively you then, it's only cost you 1 more than what you already do, or 2 more depending on if you throwing out your girl red Tamer. I really can't pronounce the name. Oh, Hero. So it's really just a staple card here at 1. I think it's just quite solid. Board removal, gaining a play from that. Fireball coming at you. So really good for just getting rid of those floodgates, as well as just essentially drawing us cards early game, which is just really, really good. I would love to run this at 3, but I feel like don't really necessarily need it at 3. But like I say, the draw 2, really strong. Delete a 3k body, really strong as well. So we do run that at 2. One of the things obviously with this deck is that we don't want to run like red memory boost, because we just don't really want to sack off our Tamers right now. Tamers is going to be one of your key things in this deck. We do run a nice 1 Gaia Force. I feel like Gaia Force is going to be needed in BT11. Just it's still a very big stack, ready to just blow through your security. So I feel like it's still pretty relevant in this current meta. But just the one-off, having it in hand is just the freaking worst. I tell you, oh god, playing it for 8 is just crippling. But we do have ways to gain a lot of memory back, so it might actually not cost us that much to get rid of a big threat on board. But because we have Marsmon, who's going to be raiding into your opponent, there shouldn't really be a big person on field. But you never know. We can't control RNG. So we do go with the 1. And then we do play the 1 Sunrise Buster Bust because it's got restricted to 1. And we're able to play a Tamer out whilst doing efficient deleting on the battlefield. So really stable card here. We do with that 1. And that concludes the deck profile for you. Let me know what you think. Is it 4 chilies or 3 chilies? I think 4 chilies. God dang! Boy, pass me the carton of milk. Good luck. Because yeah, 4 chilies is it's illegal. Let's just say that. But let me know in the comments, and hope you guys have an awesome one. That's your boy D Dread, off the mic.